Welcome to a Sonic Amiibo training video. Alright, first things first, there are 3 things you will need to know when training any Amiibo. So this is going to obviously apply to Sonic. So first things first, if you are ever going to put spirits on your Amiibo, do it before you train it, aka before you battle it. You have to put spirits on beforehand, whether it's primary or your support spirits, does not matter. If you are applying spirits, put these on before you battle it. Otherwise, if you do it after you battle, you essentially erase all progress that you have made up until that point. Point number 2, when battling the Amiibo, let the Amiibo successfully hit attacks. This is how they learn, especially the moves that you're trying to train it. Let them hit you with those attacks. If they don't ever connect those attacks, well then the Amiibo thinks, oh, I shouldn't be using those attacks because they are failing. So let them hit you with those attacks. And then finally, I get this one a lot, winning or losing while training the Amiibo does not matter. Alright, now for what most of you are probably here for, the attacks. Which ones should you focus on? Which ones are the best? And which ones should you stay away from? So we're going to start off with Sonic's jab attack. This is something you should use infrequently. It's okay. It's decent. Nice little 3-hit combo, can rack up a little bit of damage, which is always nice. That's what you want to do. So this is something you could throw in every once in a while, but don't overdo it or nothing like that, because there's other moves that are far better for Sonic Amiibo to learn. Move number 2, arguably Sonic Amiibo's best move, is his forward tilt. And that is because it is a multi-hit attack, it does good damage, it racks it up pretty quickly, and it's a really quick attack. So this is something you should use quite often. Of course, you got to be somewhat close to the opponent while doing this, but when you do, make sure you always hit both times, because again, the multi-hit attack, a little extra damage is always better. So forward tilt is always great, and plus if you can ever try to, follow it up with something else is great, but forward tilt, absolutely one of Sonic Amiibo's most used, or should be your Sonic Amiibo's most used attacks. Alright, next move that we're going to teach Sonic infrequently, as in don't use it too often, because, this is something you throw out every once in a while, and that would be down tilt. And the only reason I say, infrequently is because there's a lot better moves you can teach the Sonic Amiibo, but if you do teach it, make sure you use it only at low percentages, because when you do that, the Sonic Amiibo can actually follow it up, not with a forward smash, although maybe that's possible, but the main thing, down tilt into forward air. That's a combo that the Amiibo can actually learn. Down tilt into forward air. So if you teach them that, if you use down tilt, again, low percentages, and then always try to follow it up with a forward air if you can. That way the Amiibo can learn, hey, I got a little combo here and I can do pretty decent amount of damage. Alright, time for Sonic's air attacks. Up, back, and forward air. Neutral air is fine, I'll get to that in a second, but when using air attacks, you have to make sure you, especially up air. Let's start with up air. Especially when you use up air, you have to use the attack after Sonic or the Amiibo, whoever you're training, after they start falling back down. Once they reach the apex of their jump, and then they start falling back down, that's when you want to use the attack, because that's how the Amiibo learns the attack. You can't just spam it like before you even get up there, because the Amiibo for some reason doesn't learn that. So when you're falling, that's when you want to make contact with, whatever attack you're trying to hit here. So if it's up air, make sure you do that. Again, when you're in the air, when you're trying to juggle the opponent, it has to be when you're falling back down, and then the Amiibo will learn, alright, that's how I will use the move more often. Next up is forward air. We kind of talked about this a little bit with down tilt, but forward air is another great attack. It's a multi-hit attack. It does pretty decent damage, and you can kind of use it to ledge guard your Amiibo to train it. If I can do that properly, let's there we go, reset. But if you're trying to train your Amiibo, trying to train it to edge guard, if you will, this move is pretty dang good. And the Amiibo has, enough recovery that it can make it back on stage too. So if you're trying to use this, off stage is fine. And then finally, back air. Again, after you fall down from the apex of your jump, that's when you want to use the move. But back air is pretty good for ledge guarding. It can also deal pretty decent damage. It's a safe move to use if you're trying to recover on stage, or not recover on stage, but if you're trying to get back and have a safe landing on stage, you can try to throw this out to mess with the opponent or the amiibo when you're training it in this case. So back air is something you want to use every so often, but I'd say focus more on up air and forward air for training for Sonic. All right, let's move on to throws. In this case, all throws are great: up, down, left, and right, forward, back. They're all fine. I'd say if you do throws, focus a little bit more on up throw, because the amiibo can combo into up air and then learn how to juggle that way, so that's something to take note of. And then down throw is the other one that I would focus on, because down throw can combo into quite a few other things. Down throw can go into, again, depending on percentage, but down throw can lead into forward air, neutral air, or even back air, depending on how fast your timing is with the character during training. But up throw and down throw are the ones that I would use the most while training, because, well, Amiibo knows how to combo off of them. And now for the two most straightforward attacks, and that's going to be forward smash. Never, never, never charge attacks unless you're making kind of a gimmicky Amiibo, and that's when you throw on like unflinching charge smash attacks, the spirit. Then it's fine to charge them, because, you know, that's what you're going for. But otherwise, never charge smash attacks ever. If you're going to throw out a smash attack, just uncharged. Throw it out, let it do some damage, and plus, this is going to be Sonic's best KO option on the ground, so make sure you use this quite often if you're trying to KO on stage. And finally, up smash. The only two ways you ever want to use this are if your opponent, or when you're training the Amiibo. When the Amiibo is above you on a platform, then you could pull out an up smash. That is completely fine. That's when you want to do it. Don't do it when the Amiibo is like standing next to you, because, well, then they learn some bad habits, and we don't want to teach our Amiibo bad habits, do we? And then the other time you ever want to use up smash is when the opponent is either jumping or falling into your range, and then you could pull off an up smash, because, well, you're going to be able to catch the opponent with it, or, again, in this case, the Amiibo when training it. So that's the only two reasons, or two ways you want to use your up smash. Now, there are a couple moves you should probably stay away from, and I'd say it's pretty much all of Sonic's special attacks. Except for up special, because you're going to need that to at least recover off stage. Never just randomly do it on stage. That's going to mess up with the Amiibo. So only do it when you're trying to recover on stage. Up special's fine that way. But as for the other ones, you know, his homing attack, the Amiibo can mess this up, especially if they see the opponent off stage for whatever reason. Then they might try it. The Amiibo has a tendency to actually miss these attacks, and you don't want to teach your Amiibo to become very vulnerable, which, well, in this case, spin dash, homing attack, that sort of stuff is going to mess with it. So don't do that. Side special, don't do that either, because the Amiibo doesn't really learn anything like sophisticated or super cool with side special. It just doesn't work. So again, stay away from neutral special, side special, and down special, because, well, it's just not worth it to train it, because the Amiibo will sadly kind of mess these up, and they're just not too good with it. All right, now for spirits. If you are interested in teaching or applying spirits to your Amiibo and you're wondering which ones might be great, which ones would work pretty well, well, I got the answers for you. And up first, one of the best single slot support spirits is going to be physical attack up. It slightly increases the power of punches, kicks, and bites. And Sonic has a lot of these physical type moves, and there are several of these physical attack spirits that you can get, so definitely apply one of them. They work out pretty well, so physical attack is highly recommended if you have a single spot support spirit slot open. Now here's one just to think about. This one could work pretty well if you think Sonic Amiibo's having a little bit difficulty KOing, especially with smash attacks. Hyper smash attacks is perfect because it increases the attack power and the smash attack charge speed. So this makes your smash attacks do and feel a little bit more powerful. So if you want, go for hyper smash attack. It's something to consider, but I wouldn't consider it as one of the top spirits to use. This is just something to try out if you're feeling it. If you're looking for a really fun, unique spirit that not a lot of Amiibo use, try Impact Run. This thing is great on Sonic because of his speed. but Impact Run, it damages enemies when dashing into them. So if you're just running, it's going to create like this little barrier in front of you, and it's going to, well, impact the opponent, causing a little bit of damage. And the Sonic Amiibo can actually combo simply by running into them, and then you follow up with like a neutral air or forward air. So if you want a fun spirit, Impact Run could be something you might want to test out. Another spirit that is very helpful, this is probably one I would rank a little bit higher than most, Air Defense, because I believe Sonic will be in the air way more often than being on the ground, so a little bit of extra air defense is always good, because it slightly reduces the damage taken from, well, incoming air attacks. So this is another very strong one, and there are quite a few different ones that do apply the air defense up. Alright, so if you think your Sonic Amiibo for some reason just isn't fast enough, you can always go with the move speed up. This is always a solid addition to any Amiibo. Apply this to anybody, and move speed, well, slightly increases left and right move speed. And this does apply for off stage as well, so if you're trying to recover a little bit farther, this does help with that. But Sonic should be okay in that department, but you know, if you want Sonic to be a little faster, there you go. Move speed is never a bad choice. Now, if you want a really good two-spot spirit or two-slot spirit, you really can't get much better than the critical healing and metal spirit. It does recover a bit of health, which I believe is 30% if I'm remembering correctly, and it activates once your Amiibo hits 80% damage. So when Sonic hits 80% damage, he heals 30% down to 50, plus he ends up turning himself into a metal version for is it like 15 or 20 seconds? It's a decent amount of time, so this is something that can help with his durability and longevity. So this is a this is probably, I'd say, the spirit you want to consider either like second or third best when if you're applying spirits to your Sonic Amiibo. You can't go wrong with critical healing and metal, which is the one of the legendary spirits from the Pyra and Mithra spirit board.